There was big news coming out of Dollywood yesterday. It may have come as a surprise to some, but a lot of people saw this coming. Lightning Rod's launch is no more. It's closing down October 30th and won't reopen until the spring. The LSM launch lift hill will be removed, replaced by a high-speed chain lift. Why would they do this? What does it mean for the ride experience? And does this mean the end for the launch wooden coaster? Let's explore some of these questions today. First, how is this possible? Does the ride need a launch lift to complete its course? The answer is obviously no, and not only that, Dollywood claims the ride's top speed will still be 73 miles an hour. Do I believe them? Not really. They advertised the ride at 73 miles an hour back in 2015 when it was first announced, and having ridden it during its opening week in 2016, and then riding it in 2019 and 2022, it's already lost a lot of its punch. I remember riding it in row 2 in 2016, and I got launched out of my seat at the top of the launch lift. I tried this again in 2019 and it just wasn't there. The launch had slowed down since 2016, so was it still really hitting 73 miles an hour? I don't know. I just know it felt a lot slower after its opening year. They're claiming to use a high-speed lift chain to recover some of that speed, so I'm very curious about that. Will it be something like Tornado at Bakken uses? We'll have to see. That's a tiny lift and it's only used for a 4-person car, so who knows if something that powerful can work for Lightning Rod. The park is saying it'll be about 13 miles an hour coming over the top, and I read that Millennium Force's cable lift is anywhere between 12 and 15 miles an hour. That's pretty comparable. Even with a slower launch, it had a little extra speed going into that drop, so if they can't match that so-called 73 mile an hour top speed, will the ride be that much slower? It already lost some punch, will it lose even more? These are questions to look out for. When I rode this in 2022, they had already replaced more than half of its wooden track with steel track. I remember this being very bumpy in 2019, and I thought the retrack did wonders for the ride experience in 2022. However, this year I heard the ride is rough again, and I heard that from a lot of different people. Maybe, along with a new chain lift, the ride gets some more steel track. Maybe that even helps with the speed. I'm not sure how the topper track affects the speed compared to the iBox. Based on comparing stats to, say, Wildfire and Outlaw Run to Iron Rattler, there isn't much of a difference there. Even if it doesn't improve the speed, maybe they retrack the rest of the wooden parts to make it smoother. This launch lift hill was the defining part of the ride, the first ever wooden coaster to have a launch, let alone launching a train over 150 feet up an incline. But as Dollywood president Eugene Naughton said, innovation is very complex. Lightning Rod was ahead of its time, and this can go one of two ways. It can be like the original bat at Kings Island, a good idea that needed adjustments, but the original had to be the sacrificial lamb. Or it can just be a terrible idea that nobody will ever try again. Leave the launches to steel coasters, or at the very least, make the launch on steel track and then go into a wooden layout. GCI's new Infinity Flyer trains advertise that they can be launched, so obviously they're thinking about it. They also have Titan Track, so they have that tool in their bag. As Eugene Naughton said, since he arrived at Dollywood a few years ago, they've been studying engineering changes to fix the ride. It's notorious for being down, days, weeks, months at a time, or just breaking down the days that it's open. Rides with maintenance problems are absolute nightmares for the parks. Just look at Top Thrill Dragster for Cedar Point. The guests hate it, the park hates it, and even though Lightning Rod opened 7 years ago, they've been looking for a solution for at least half its lifespan. Dollywood is confident this change will be the final solution to make the ride more reliable. I don't know what they were looking at over the last few years, if they did everything they could to save the launch lift, but maybe they gave up and found the right chain lift they wanted, the one that can simulate the launch speed as close as possible. I love the launch. I know it lost its punch, but that initial kick going up the lift hill was a big rush. It's losing that, but the layout is still great. As long as the ride isn't sluggish, as long as the wave turn, those twist and shouts, and the quad down still pop, this is still a top 10 coaster, maybe top 15 at worst. They're also getting new trains. This is interesting. I imagine they'll be the same as the newer RMCs, Air Force One, Wildcat's Revenge, and not their new Wild Moose trains that are more open. They may have just needed to do this because the old trains were designed to launch, and they need new ones designed to engage a chain lift. So, the world's first launch wooden coaster is now a regular old steel coaster that uses a chain lift. That's quite the transformation, but Lightning Rod has a history unlike anything we've ever seen. I think this had to be done. I'm just worried what it means for the ride experience. But in the end, any ride experience is better than no ride experience. And starting in spring 2024, when you go to Dollywood, you can rely on Lightning Rod being open. That's a win for all of us. And if you got to experience the launch lift like I did 7 times over 3 trips, cherish those memories. You rode the first wooden coaster with a launch lift hill, and you may have also ridden the last. I will almost for sure be at Dollywood next summer to check it out, and I'm very curious to see how it'll ride. Let me know what you think about this change. Are you disappointed? Do you like it? How do you think this will affect the ride experience? And is this still an elite ride? Any thoughts you have, sound off in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like. And if you're new here and want to see more content like this, please give me a sub. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're a baseball fan like I am. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.